Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is 9-1, part 2. Thank you for coming back. Make sure you're looking for the learning target. Also, I'm going to be looking for a couple things. I need you to be able to tell me that the magic word from this video so that when I ask you for it, you can give it to me as credit that you did watch the video, as well as filling out your video logs and writing down examples, definitions, questions, the whole little thing. Okay, so the additional property of an inequality. If you add the same number to each side of an inequality, the relationship between the two sides does not change. So for example, if we look at this with algebra, if A is less than B, then when C is added to A, it will still be less when has C added as well. So as long as you're adding the same thing, it's not really changing. So if I add C to A and C to B, that they'll still have A plus C is going to be less than B plus C for all the numbers of A, B, and C. So example, if A is 3 and B is 7, if I have 3 is less than 7, I think we can agree to that. But if I add 2 to both, so let's say C equals 2, 3 plus 2 is less than 7 plus 2. So let's check that out. Let's see if I have 3 and I add 2, 1, 2, I'm now at 5. And if I have 7, and as long as I add 2 as well, I'm at 9. And I would ask, is 5 in fact less than 9? And I'm hoping you saying yes. So it comes back to just like we were doing with the equations, as long as I'm doing the same thing to both sides, I'm not really making any major changes and being equal, and so the answer will still be the same. Make sure you copy down this example. So we can see where we've added 2, and we get 5 is less than 9. And if you look at the original, 3 is less than 7. So similarly, if A is greater than B, then when you add C to A, it is still going to be greater than B when you add C to B for all the numbers A, B, and C. This is the property is also true for less than equal and greater than equal. Again, it just comes down to if I'm doing the same thing to each side, I'm not changing the value of the equation. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, looking at the subtraction property of inequality, it's saying the same thing, that as long as I do one thing, if I do something on one side, I have to do it to the other. They're putting it in terms of A is less than B, and so if A minus C would still be less than B minus C, because C is going to be the same for both, and we're going to not be changing anything. So this is saying 6 is less than 10. So we see 6, we have 10, and we would agree 6 is less than 10. But what if I take and subtract 9 from both of these? So 6 minus 9 is going to come all the way down to negative 3. And I'm going to change the color just so that we can keep track. And let's go with purple. No reason other than it's purple and it's there. If I take 10 and I subtract 9, I'm going to go to 1, correct? So, is negative 3 less than 1? Yes, so it checks. Make sure you copy this down. Also, just so you know, this is going to apply when we say less than or equal to. It's going to apply then greater than equal to, and as well as just plain greater to with subtracting. Remember, as long what I do to one side, I have to do the equal. So, oops, that's not a good thing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to practice actually using the graphing. It is part of your math tools. I will walk you through how to use this. If you need to, you can go into 9.1 practice under examples 2. It's the fourth slide. The gentleman is just so monotone that he'll put us all to sleep. So I'm just going to help us walk through this. So I have Q minus 22 is greater than 13.38. Well, I want to isolate Q. By this point, I'm hoping that you remember to make Q isolated. I need to get rid of this because I'm just doing PEMDAS backwards. So this is being subtracted. So I need to add a 2.2. And if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. This is all about equal. So this becomes 0, so I end up with Q is greater than 13.8 plus 2.2. So that's going to be 0, 16.0. So I'm just going to make that a big old point. Let me see. Okay, so that's going to become 16. Notice this, I acted as if it was just an equal sign, except I knew it was a greater than sign, so I just brought it straight down as that. The rules still apply exactly the same, whether it's an equation, which means equal sign, or an inequality, which means it's going to have a greater than or less than kind of sign, possibly even a not equal to. So I have Q is greater than 16. So I need to come down here and I need to graph it. So first thing I need to decide is what kind of shape do I need to use? Well, I'm going to pick the open circle because it's a greater than. And I'm going to come over here and apparently I need to scoot that over. And I scoot it over simply by clicking. I can look at these arrows and I can change that. So I'm going to drag it down to 16. Now, I see that Q is greater than 16. So all of these values are less than 16. So my arrow is going to need to go this direction. So I'm going to connect. Whoops. Apparently I grabbed the wrong. Okay, let me grab the arrow. And there we go. So I just pull it up there and now I show all my values. This is what it would look like it's graphed. Q is going to be greater than 16. So my arrow is going to be all the values greater than 16, but an open circle simply because it is not including it as a possible answer this time. Okay, we have one more video to watch. Oh, not one more video, one more step to watch before I go ahead and close this video and make another one. I wanted to do this real quick. If we look at this, we have a positive 8 to r is less than or equal to 22.5. Well, I want to get 8 by itself, so I'm just going to subtract 8. I'm sorry, I want to get r by itself, so I need to subtract 8 from both sides. This gives me 0, so I get r less than or equal to 14.5. So I need to go ahead and plot this line. Well, I need to change something because I have a half, so I need to see the half marks in between so that I can plot it. This is an equal, so I know it's going to include that number. So I need to go to 14.5 and grab this, put it there, and then I need to say we're talking all the values less than. So with all the values less than 14.5. Please make sure you've paused this, you get all the information down that you need to. And for your question for the entry ticket, I would like for you to know that the magic word today was popcorn.